Today's episode is a celebration of the finer things in life.
From having your very own private sanctuary right in the comfort of your home,
to the luxury of having the best options when it comes to the stuff that make life a little bit more extraordinary.
Join us as we scour the metro for all the great things that make modern living one delightful experience.
From living spaces to living life beyond its confines, I'm Stephanie Zubiri Crespi.
And I'm Bianca Gonzalez.
This is your ultimate guide to modern living.
Our next guest is a young visionary in the field of architecture and design. Definitely a star on the rise. Let's meet the man behind Buensalido Architects.
The current state of Philippine architecture is that I think it has no singular voice in such a way that there's too many thematic developments that don't really speak the culture of the Philippines. And I think one of the reasons that this is so is because of the top-down development, wherein profit is always the first priority when you come up with real estate developments. If you go to, let's say, Japan or Bali or Spain, all of the buildings there, all of the towns and the urban fabric that you experience as a visitor, they all sort of speak a singular language that express the sentiments of the place. And for us, Philippines, that's what we need to find, that single voice that will tie the entire urban experience into a singular, coherent whole.
Jason put up his own architectural and design firm that is committed to introduce bold, fresh, and innovative ideas to the Philippine design setting.
As a designer, the vision really, not only for the firm, but also for, I guess, the whole Philippines, is that for us to really reflect our identity in our spaces. So whether it's a big building or a small waiting shed, whether it's a park or a lakefront development, whatever it is, it has to reflect our culture and our identity. And we have this, basically. If you look at other design industries like furniture, graphic design, product development, all of these industries are starting to speak who we are or reflect who we are. Architecture should also progress as well. So when you talk about Filipino architecture, gone are the days that it should look literally like a bahay kubo, when in reality there are other metaphysical aspects of who we are as a people, like optimism, festivity, positivity. So it's time to move or push architecture forward and make it more progressive.
Jason pushes his proposition further by fully embracing the need for green design.
We believe that green design is a standard. You have to think about the future generations, and that's why when you design anything, you have to make sure that you're responsible in consuming energy.
Another important element in his design philosophy is the need to position the Philippines on the international map.
We have to stop encouraging all of these themed developments, let's say a Greek development, and put it in tropical soil. Because what this does is it just simply promotes a certain level of colonial mentality. When in reality, if we simply focus on who we are and the unique way that we do things and reflect it in everything, in our surroundings, in our products, in our furniture, in our architecture, then that's the time that we will garner our place in the world.
With all these factors into consideration, Jason fashioned a design philosophy that seeks to instigate much-needed change in the current landscape of Philippine architecture. Let's see how theory becomes practice as we take a tour inside one of his residential projects.
A beautiful home is a place that you would love to go home to. It's a place where people would like to talk about it. It's so nice and pleasing to the eye. Every single little thing is something to talk about. And it's practical at the same time. I don't like the type of house that you can't seem to touch anything anymore. It has to be still functional in that context, and the elegance should be there. Jason is really more contemporary Filipino, and as a couple, we're very much patriotic about the way the house should be designed, and we didn't want it to be the old Filipino. We wanted it to be more modern. That's why he seemed to be the perfect person to get for this project.
This home is a renovation project. The house has been around for a long time. We were quite surprised the first time that we came here because everything was a mess. I mean, in terms of organization, all of the clutter was all over the place. That's number one. And then number two, they had all of these collections that are not only different from each other, but are exact opposites in terms of their nature. And then aside from that, the couple were also exact opposites. So the challenge for us really was how to come up with a language that would stitch all of these opposite elements, but at the same time flaunt their uniqueness and then their differences.
As a staunch advocate of green design, Jason did a lot of repurposing and upcycling in this project.
We saw that it was the traditional Nara parquet flooring, and most architects would itch to change it because it's simply not the trend. But what we did is we simply retained it, gave it a new life by bleaching it and revarnishing it, and all of the wood veneer that you see that basically clad the doors, the walls, the shelves are all from FSC certified suppliers. All of the lighting here is LED, therefore the energy consumption is not high. At the same time, all of our air conditioning units are inverter types. This idea of personalization is what we tried to reflect in the space by keeping everything flexible. So there are no fixed sort of furniture pieces. We allow them to personalize their experience of the different spaces in their house. So in a way, they don't adapt to the new space, it's the space that adapts to them, which I believe design and architecture should be.
With all these design elements and principles combined, Jason Buensalido shows us how he is redefining Filipino architecture one project at a time.